Hi, it's Jim. It's Microsoft Monday, and ChatGPT has just taken my job away from me. Well, not really. I mean, that's what people like to think, but I've got to show you something really cool. Now, the other day, about a week ago, we talked about a Google Sheets add-on called Numerous.ai that brought artificial intelligence right into the functionality of Google Sheets. And check it out if you haven't seen that yet, because it is really cool. But it got me to thinking that I know Microsoft's coming out with Copilot pretty soon. There's going to be AI built into a lot of Office. But what if I use ChatGPT to answer my, or actually your, Excel questions? Well, here's what we're going to do. I've typed a few questions, and obviously I've already checked this out. So we're going to sort of replicate what I did and let you see the response that ChatGPT does. So first things first, let's get over to the mess that is here. And now we're at the ChatGPT screen, but we're actually going to go to one other step because I've already typed out a particular question and I have it in Word, and I will go over that in a second. Just do a quick copy and paste. So before I hit enter, what I'm going to ask Excel to do is help me write a function. And how I'm going to pose it is in common English. So write a function that takes a number in cell B2 and determine sponsorship status based on that number. So if it's more than 50, it returns silver. If it's more than 100, gold. If it's more than 500, platinum. It's a basic if clause, nesting ifs oftentimes. But let's see what ChatGPT, and this is the first time I tried this. I'm pretty sure we're going to see the same answer. So let's take a look. And there you go. And we'll let it keep yammering away and its way. But interesting. It also put something else in there that it hadn't before. So it gave me an if clause. If B2 is greater than 500, platinum. If it's greater than 100, gold. If it's greater than 50, silver. And obviously, they set that up in a way that the largest amount is first. And then it put a fourth option in there, which is no sponsorship, which I hadn't asked it to do. But the last sentence that it returned is if B2 is not greater than any of these values, the function returns no sponsorship. Wow. If you have an Excel question, you've reached out to me before, great, but you have a friend in ChatGPT. So I got another idea. So while I was doing that, I know that people oftentimes like to build drop-down menus into Excel. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to go, okay, let me copy this, and we're going to paste this, and we're going to talk about it. How do I create a drop-down list for column D? And obviously, it's not specific to any given worksheet or workbook at this point. And it's going to offer the user options: gold, silver, bronze, paper, rock, scissors, and nothing else can be entered into the column. So in plain English, as plain as I can get, we've told Excel, well, actually we've told ChatGPT what we wanted to do. Ready? Set? Let's see. Enter the options in a separate column, select the columns in D, go to data validation, that is indeed correct. Select a list from the allowed drop-down menu. In the source field, enter the range that contains the options you entered in step 1. That is all absolutely correct and will work. And there's another way that oftentimes I do it, which is not putting that second list together, but just typing those names in that area. But this will not steer you wrong. This is exactly how to create a drop-down in Excel. And all we did was ask ChatGPT the question. You might realize at this point, with all the noise and the nuance you've heard about artificial intelligence, that it's not that the artificial intelligence is that smart, is that some smart people, not including me obviously, ask good questions. Ask questions that are direct, that tell ChatGPT exactly what they want, and do so in a way that plays into the strength or sweet spot of what a tool like ChatGPT can do. So now I'm getting greedy. Now I'm going, I do have this automated approach that I love, or this approach I love to automate with pivot tables. Could it actually write code for me? Now, spoiler alert, if you were a few weeks ago saw the Sumplete video, you know that it does have this capability, but I was never a good coder in Excel. So I have a very simple sentence, and we'll do one more quick copy and paste down here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to ask it, can Excel write code to automate the creation of a pivot table? You ready? Let's take a look. And there it is. Now, obviously, there's changes that will need to be made. You'll need to enter information that's in there and change the headers to the ones in your pivot table. But guess what? There is now an option at the top right called copy code, which you can copy, and then you can put it right into your Visual Basic. Now, I'd love this story to have a perfect ending, that this worked perfectly, and obviously this code's slightly different than the one you saw because I've been tinkering a bit. But let me show you what this actually still does. So we've told it to write a code. Now, for some of you, you're going, I don't know macros, I don't know how to create those. Not the scope of what we're talking about here, but if you've played, if you put your feet, dipped your feet into the macro area, you know it's a Visual Basic Language, VBA, that Excel has. I do think actually in a lot of ways that Google Sheets is easier with that. But let's go to a pivot table. So I have this pivot table here, and then I have sheet 1, which is blank. So does this macro work? I went up, and I have to put the developer tab on, by the way, and that's another option for another time. If you want me to show you how to do that at some point, let me know. Happy to do that. It takes 30 seconds. But I'm going to go to macros and click it. And now the macro I have here in this workbook is create pivot table. And we'll hit run. And for some strange reason, it gives me that 400. Okay, I'm going to deal with that. But what happened in sheet 1? Because that's where I told it to put the pivot table. And guess what? It did everything except put the values in. And I've struggled for the past half hour trying to figure out how to do that, and it's still not working. But all I have to do at this point, now that this pivot table is built, is on the right side, drag commission down to values, and there it is. You know, gang, this was even more mind-blowing than I thought it was going to be. What we've done, let's get back here, is we've actually asked very basic and very sophisticated questions of ChatGPT to help us with Excel. So the next time you're stuck in anything in Office, and I think it really applies incredibly well for Excel, but clearly Word and PowerPoint and stuff like that, if you needed to understand how to build animation in PowerPoint, ask it a question and realize that the answer might not have 100% accuracy, but you know how much time those 3 questions could have saved me or you in trying to figure out how to do it and wade through all the noise that's on Google and people who know how to explain properly and people who don't know how to explain properly. I was really hoping that the pivot table would work perfect. That'd be the perfect ending to the story, but it's not, and that's cool. So what we've done again is just ask the artificial intelligence for what we want to do. It's like Google. You gotta ask it properly to get the right answers. So hope this helps. Hope this blows some of your minds. I know it did mine, although I'm not surprised by it. And we will see you again real soon. Take care, gang.